Welcome to Astro Rahu Channel English. I'm your host Vishal Sathye. Today we will deal with the topic what happens for the Cancer Ascendant when the 7th and 8th Lord, the great Saturn, comes in the 10th house and it is debilitated in Aries. Right now I am in UAE and you can see this is actually Sharjah, and it's a very good area of Sharjah. It is Buhaira Cornish, and you can see the sea over here, and very nice ambience is there. At the backside there is the UAE flag. Actually probably it won't be visible because it is pretty dark right now. Let's continue with the topic. Now we have the great Saturn debilitated in the 10th house. This is actually a typical placement many a times, and a bit of a difficult placement for the Cancer Ascendant. See, for the Cancer Ascendant and the Leo Ascendant, many a times actually the marital life is a bit problematic because Sun, there is a combination of Sun and Saturn, and as we all know that Sun and Saturn are arch enemies, so always there is a bit tussle. It is as if actually both the husband wife in the last life, as if they were enemies because the planetary combination is such. Now we have Saturn, which is the 7th Lord. It is debilitated in the 10th house. So what I've seen especially with this placement is that many a times the spouse is very busy, because here the 7th Lord is in the 10th house, and the spouse may be in, many a times I've seen he can be self-employed, or he can have his own business as well, where the business would be related to the Saturnian qualities. It can be related to fabrication or iron and steel or mining, or all these kinds of profiles are possible, where the spouse especially is very busy. This is a very important feature over here, and the spouse is, say he works for say 2 shifts many a times continuously, or he works for 12 hours, comes home, probably is tired or is preoccupied, and he doesn't give much time to the individual. This is one of the features of this placement. And but what happens here, the Saturn aspects the 7th house, his own house from the 10th house. So though he is very busy, but still the marriage would be a steady one, and he protects the 7th house. So the spouse would be very he will fulfill his responsibilities towards marriage, but he will be very busy. He will give less time to the individual, his wife or husband, whoever, and many a times I have also seen that these individuals, the husband or the spouse here, is preoccupied many a times, as if, say, if he works for 12 hours, comes home, and then even then he might have his own hobbies which he pursues, and say he might also then like to play cricket match or something, and might after coming late home, he might immediately have dinner, and he might go to play some cricket matches and be preoccupied with his hobbies as well, and even give lesser time to the spouse. These kind of situations many times arise with this position. And another feature of this position is that here Saturn also rules the 8th house. So here Saturn is the 8th lord, and being the 8th lord, he is debilitated in the 10th house. I also seen that whenever the 8th lord is debilitated, listen very carefully, this is my observation. If the 8th lord is debilitated, many a times I have seen that there is some kind of sexual dissatisfaction in the individual, because the 8th house represents sexual satisfaction. It because it represents the genitals. So obviously here there is, because Saturn rules back-to-back houses 7th and 8th, and as I told you that here the spouse is very busy, he gives less time, and again he also rules the 8th house, and the 8th lord being debilitated, here again he might not be giving much time in marriage, and there can be a bit deficiency in companionship, although he would be fulfilling the responsibilities, but less time in companionship and less time in sexual angle of the marriage as well. This is also possible. This happens many a times with this placement, and because the 8th house, or as I told you, also represents the genitals, and this lord is debilitated. Keep the mobile a bit closer, because the audio will otherwise not be audible. So what happens here is many a times there is some kind of hormonal imbalance also, and there might be some deficiency related to the genital areas. If it is a woman, then there can be some hormonal imbalance, and it also might be irregularity of periods, or sometimes having a bit of difficulty bearing a child. This is also many times possible. Saturn doesn't deny children over here, but there can be a bit of a struggle having children in this placement. This is also possible. And because Saturn is debilitated over here, another aspect of this placement is that the morals of the individual are many a times not correct. Not always, but this is also one, sometimes this is possible. Morals in the sense that the wisdom is short-sighted many a times, because Saturn in Aries is not comfortable, because Saturn here feels a bit afraid, and he doesn't he feels challenging in Aries. He feels as if, because Saturn is what? Saturn is fright. That is, Saturn will tell you that if you don't do certain things, then something negative can happen. Saturn is fear, and in Aries he always feels challenging, that he has continuous challenges, and because of that, here Saturn feels that he needs to act fast, acts urgently, because that is the atmosphere of the Aries sign, and he feels that he needs to be competitive, and he gets frightened, and he here starts thinking he becomes short-sighted, and so in that way the morals are negatively affected with this position as well. So because here Saturn is the 7th lord, the wisdom and morals, basic understanding of life can be short-sighted of the spouse and of the individual as well, because here the 7th lord is debilitated, and after all this Saturn is of the individual. It is in the horoscope of this individual. So both of them, the individual and the spouse, they might be short-sighted as far as wisdom is concerned. And the individual in this case also might be career oriented, because after all Saturn is in the 10th house in this position. And many a times with this placement I have seen that the individual is a bit lazy. So if you have an employee with this placement, and if you really stretch that employee, and if you are an employer who expects his employee to continuously work, as and when he comes to office, immediately start the computer and begin his work, and waste no time. If you are very discipline oriented, and if you stretch him for work a bit, be a bit more strict and disciplinarian, then this employee will leave the job, I tell you. Because as and when you really put in hardcore work ethics on this kind of an individual, then his Saturn gets frightened. If you give him certain targets and push him, stretch him, these guys cannot take it. And especially this is more the case if Saturn is in the earlier degrees or it is in the last degrees. This also I have seen with this placement. So this was my opinion about this placement, Saturn being debilitated in the 10th house for the Cancer Ascendant. If you like this video, don't forget to press the like button and don't forget to share this video. This is very important for me. Until the next episode, this is Vishal Sathye signing off for now.